Arsenal have world-class players amongst their whole squad, but a player that's certainly been going under the radar of most football fans is Jakub Kiwior, who's been a mainstay for Arsenal in left-back throughout the last few months. And there's no doubt about it, Jakub Kiwior deserves his place in the Arsenal side, so let's look at why he's just so good there and why he deserves to keep his place over any other defender at the team. Let's get into it. Now, I have done videos on Jakub Kiwior before talking about why he is very good and makes Arsenal better, but now I want to go a bit into detail about the tactics around his last few performances and why I think personally he should be Arsenal starting left back for the time coming. And I was very critical of Jakub Kiwior, like many Arsenal fans were in the time, but I did do videos about wanting us to support him and think he would get better eventually. Now, the turnaround of the player has been amazing. I really thought he was going to be considered to be sold in January, potentially on loan to a team like AC Milan, and I really thought maybe they were going to give up on the project with him. Now, in a way, I think Arsenal have been forced to play in him. I think they would still rather play probably Zinchenko at least a month and a half ago, but we spoke about it loads. The Ben White inversion has definitely helped Kiwior, and I do think now you get to see the real defensive priorities of his as a player. But there's also been a lot more about his game that I really enjoy. Now, there's been no secret about it. Arsenal have been dominating teams very easily, penning them in and making sure they can't get out, and being one of the best counter-pressing teams in the league and in Europe. Now, there's a lot of players that help this happen. There's a lot of attackers that deserve a lot of credit and a lot of midfielders that work really well and really hard in there to win the ball back. But a lot of credit also needs to go to both fullbacks. Now, Ben White has been given his credit for his inverting and how he moves well off the ball with Odegaard in that sort of fluid movement. Kiwior on the other side also had to do the same and similar sort of thing. Not only does he sit back at the start when Arsenal have the ball in possession in a 3-2-5 to obviously help us defend and pass the ball around, he obviously needs to be careful and move up the ball quickly up the pitch. He needs to make sure that his position is usually in a correct place. This is because he needs to be up there trying to help Martinelli on an overlapping situation or coming inside to invert for him. This obviously helps when Arsenal have the other teams penned very far back in their box, and you obviously see Gabriel and Saliba move very far up the pitch into the other half of the team. But Kiwior is supposed to start in that situation, then when the ball gets moved into these elevated positions, move further into attack and roll. And something that's been interesting that Kiwior is actually getting a lot more touches on the ball and a lot more in the play. And for instance, against Sheffield United, he had around 97 touches of the ball, which is a lot more than he was having a few months ago. He is a lot more on the ball and a lot more aware with the team. And coming from Italy and being a traditional defender that is obviously very physical and Arteta would like, it makes sense that why he would want him there. But it's very interesting that he can actually do this attack and roll. He's actually been very good at this sort of overlap and play more than the inverted role later. For instance, Kiwior is not a slow player. He is very good at getting triggered to go towards the attack and then coming back when he needs to. There was similar chances against Burnley and against Sheffield United where Arsenal managed to pick the ball up from a very good elevated position with a lot of the other team being defensive in that area. This means Arsenal can quickly switch the ball through the midfield and get the ball up to the left side, and both times Kiwior is very alert and very quick to get and help the other players up there. He clearly has been told to be ready and be able to attack in them positions, and when Arsenal don't have the ball necessarily, still stay a bit more wider and a bit more direct on so he can make that run through into the space. And with Arsenal's midfielder often moving around to where the other players have the ball, trying to win it back quickly, it means that he often has a lot of space in front of him because there's no one there because he's the one on the end. And he's done brilliant to get up there and help Martinelli. Martinelli is 100 times a better player when Kiwior is overlapping and helping him, while also having someone like Declan Rice come in the middle, keeping a 3-man position on there, having triangles and helping out that side, let alone the right side getting their own triangles. And this has resulted in some output. I mean, against Burnley, he did a cross. It ended up deflecting from Havertz into Trossard, and Trossard scored. And then against Sheffield United, he got another assist. And it's not the most complicated thing in the world, but he overlaps, brings the defender with him, does a no-look pass back into Martinelli as a shot quickly takes a deflection, goes in. I'm not going to sugarcoat it and pretend that that's the best player in the world, his little pass, but it is good enough to get us a goal in that scenario. But his positioning is more important. Dragging defenders with him, giving Martinelli a bit more space to be able to get the shot away is exactly where he needs him. And he's become really one of his own of getting into them positions recently. And I think having a role like this really suits him because he's getting more on the ball, getting in elevated positions and having a lot of people not really pressing him. Obviously, Arsenal are very much having the ball in their games and they're not really getting pressed too much because teams know they're just getting passed through like they did with Newcastle. This is benefiting Kiwior a lot. I think his passing ability is really showing through, and I think you're really getting to see that he is a very good passer in that side. I mean, against Sheffield United, even from left back, someone that's not really involved in our plays so much, he made 73 out of 80 passes, so he's still making a decent amount of game. And some of these passes were really effective. He did 6 into the final third and ended up taking 2 shots in the opposition box. So he's clearly still making some right decisions and making some roles and helping the team in certain ways. And as long as he can just do what he needs to in a passing move, then that is fine, because he's still got very good defensive work and he still helps the team a lot, and I'd say he's one of the best defenders in the squad. Against Sheffield United, who didn't even do much defensive work, he made 2 out of 2 tackles completed. He made 1 block, 1 clearance, 1 interception, 6 defensive actions and 4 recoveries. Now that is a lot more defensive work than anyone on the team was really doing. It shows that he's getting in the right positions, he knows what he's doing and winning them duels more importantly. And in this game, you have 5 duels and lost 2 of them. He is very, very good at this, and this is why Arteta really likes him. And I think, in a sense, he's made that left-back role so fitted to Kiwior, so he can really get the best out of him in certain roles and feel confident in possession and not feeling too worried. He's not confusing him, so he has to do too much, and I overall think Kiwior is a much better player because of it. And out of possession too, he is one of the reasons why we can be so effective. Now, of course, Arsenal want to sign smart players, so I'm not expecting him not to be able to do this, because it isn't necessarily the hardest thing in the world, but he does a really good job at pressing in with Martinelli on that left side. It gives Arsenal a lot of pressure all around the pitch rather than just on the right side like we used to. And because he's a very aggressive player, I think this is a very good position for him. This is a bit like what Tomiyasu used to do on both wings and both fullback positions. Be very aggressive, be great at pressing and help the team and players in front of you more importantly. And him being effective and being able to identify when he needs to go on that overlap or help players is also helping him with his goals and assist contributions, let alone also pressing further up the pitch. And now in the last 5 games, he has 3 assists and a goal. Now some of them are from different circumstances, such as maybe winning a headed duel or maybe winning a throw in to give it to the other team and they do the rest. But he's still making decisive decisions to get us up the pitch and making a lot of helpful ways in order to get the attack to have more chances. And he's another player like Havertz, has that physicality that really makes him worthy of being in the squad. He is a big guy, he's a very big guy compared to someone like Zinchenko if he played, and this can be a threat from corners, which we saw against Newcastle, but in other games he's also been a nuisance in these positions. It doesn't hurt to have another player who's really tall in there helping the team with the brilliant tactics from corners. In my opinion, Jakub Kiwior has to be in the starting 11 for Arsenal. Now I think when Timber comes back fully fit, then you could consider playing him, because then Arsenal could basically invert left and right side in the same game. And Jakub Kiwior isn't perfect because he obviously struggles to do that role, and we've had to make this role himself, but that's what makes good managers. They make the role best for the players and figure their way to get them in the side to make them the best they can be. I think Kiwior has really proved me wrong and a lot of people wrong. I think he deserves to be in this starting 11 and he doesn't get enough credit, because every single one of them is the reason why the defense is one of the best right now. That's the reason why they're not conceding many shots. Kiwior has also improved a lot more going forward, which is very good to see. But if Zinchenko is going to come back soon, I'd rather play Kiwior, because I think right now you don't change things when they're working this well, and Zinchenko probably won't be that much of an improvement. Thank you guys for watching. Let me know what you think of Kiwior, or who you think should play left back when they come back, maybe even Tomiyasu, and let me know what you think about this video in the comments. If you like this video, please watch my video yesterday where I go through William Saliba's role and why he has been so vital recently. Thank you guys for watching. I'll see you in the next one.